Welcome to an episode of You Haven't Read What? I'm Krista.
And I'm Christina. Join us to explore unique genres, childhood favorites, and literary classics as we dive into each other's favorite reads.
Where one of us is very familiar with the book, the other is reading for the very first time. Let's go! All right. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of You Haven't Read What?
Woohoo!
Oh, we're getting deep into this book.
I know.
I'm excited.
It's kind of crazy how far we've actually come.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, there's like an actual story happening now.
It is. It's kind of like becoming interesting and not as boring. and I mean that in a good way. Whereas like it's one of those stories like, okay, I am 36. I have put off reading Harry Potter for a very long time. I have been dreading like actually reading this series. And I have put off reading basically every time until like the last minute. And it's starting to get a little more interesting, and it's starting to kind of be like, okay, what's actually going to happen next? And I'm just kind of, I'm not necessarily sitting on the edge of my chair going, ooh, what's about to happen? But I am kind of getting a little more invested slightly. And I am kind of wanting to know what's about to happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And we should say real quick, since everyone's still getting to know our voices. Yep. This is Krista.
And I'm Christina. And I sound a little funky today. So
you're fine. We all do. And yeah, I've obviously read it multiple times, and I'm so excited to finally be getting past the world building.
Yes.
It's like, where's the act? Because this whole time besides going to school, like there hasn't been a story.
No.
There hasn't been a through line.
Right.
And it's like, now we're starting to see it.
Right. Yep.
Finally.
Yep. We're starting to understand who the characters are a little bit more. We're not quite getting to the point of understanding who every character is, but we're starting to at least understand a little bit more of each person's personality as they're starting to come to life a little bit more. And we're starting to find that certain people are more annoying than others. Hermione. And we're also kind of starting to understand just like what type of world that they live in a little bit more of an interesting way. And I think we're finding that while their world is at Hogwarts now, not necessarily just in
our world.
In our world, in an everyday world, they're at school, and being at school is different for them than it was for us in a way.
Yeah, and it's also a boarding school, which neither one of us ever went to.
Yep.
I mean, until college, I guess, technically.
Right.
But yeah. So we're talking, last week we did chapters 6 and 7.
Yep.
Where chapter 6, I was, quick summary. We said goodbye to the Dursleys. We met this bizarre redhead family with a ton of kids that were super wonderful and got Harry on the plane.
Yep.
On the plane.
on the train. And Mama Weasley was amazing.
I love Mama Weasley. And then we got chapter 7, which was the Sorting Hat, and we met all the ghosts. We ate a ton of food, and we went to bed.
Yep.
So this week, do you want to give us a summary of what these two chapters were about?
So this week we basically are learning a little bit more about the school and some more about the classes and about the different characters for who's kind of in charge of the school. So we've got like Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris and some of the professors. We learn a little bit more about some of the professors.
My summary for chapter 8 is we meet all the fun professors and Snape.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've also got the Midnight Duel, which is chapter 9. And but we also have with that a little bit more understanding about Quidditch and the argument between soccer and Quidditch. So
I made some notes about that.
I was going to ask you a question about that, but we'll get there. So those were kind of the summaries for 8 and 9.
Yeah, my summary for 9 is he can fly.
Yeah, exactly. He can fly real well. So
Much to Malfoy's dismay.
right.
So anyway, back to chapter 8.
Yes.
I thought it was really cute as they're talking about how the owls fly in and give them their mail and stuff that says Hedwig stops by, even though he doesn't have anything from anybody. He stops by just to nibble on his ear and steal some food and run away.
Right.
And as I was reading this, I'm sitting on my couch with my golden retriever at my feet, wanting to share whatever food snack I've got. And I was like, this is like just such a beautiful pet owner relationship of like Hedwig trusts him, Hedwig loves him, Hedwig like checks in on Harry, even though he doesn't have any reason to, or she doesn't have any reason to.
Right. Do you need an owl now?
That sounds like a lot of poop.
I mean, is it more than a dog?
I think it's more frequent than a dog. I don't know.
There was a mention of an eagle owl.
Oh,
like,
I missed that.
How do you get that type of breed? I wonder, like, that's an interesting one for me, but one quick question about the house, though, of Hogwarts. How are there 142 different staircases? Like, seriously, could you imagine having 142 different staircases and some of them having like missing steps and having some of them like disappearing and some of them going to different random places and
steps disappear and
so weird.
Yeah.
Did you find an eagle owl?
Sorry, I did. It looks like it's judging me.
It does look like it's judging you.
So it's not a mix of an eagle and an owl. It's named because of its size. It's so much bigger than like a barn owl.
Okay.
And so, so it's got its...
And Neville has a barn
size.
owl, so...
Yeah. And it's a relative of the great horned owl.
Okay.
But it has amazing eyebrows.
It does.
I feel judged by this owl. Or it looks like it just got out of bed. Like my toddler looks at me with his hair just...
Oh,
that's what it looks like.
He stuck his finger in a light switch or something.
Yes, there you go.
There you go.
We were doing mohawks after the bath the other night. He was having fun with it. He kept looking in the mirror and laughing at himself.
That's so funny.
That's what it has, creepy orange eyes too. At least this one does. I need a different one that doesn't have creepy orange eyes. Ooh, this one's in the snow. Oh, see, that one looks slightly less judgmental. Okay, maybe not.
Anyways.
Y'all should Google it. They're kind of cute.
They are kind of cute, but they do look a little bit evil, which is probably why Draco has one.
Oh, good point.
I mean,
it's a little pointy and it's big and like showy and like powerful.
Maybe that's why he is evil. I mean, I don't know. I keep thinking of him just being an evil person. I don't know. I just don't like him. He gives me the creeps.
I mean, he's a school bully. Like,
true.
They just
like Dudley. Meh.
We'll come back to that.
Yep, I was just about to say
that's the next chapter.
Yuppers. So this Argus Filch and Mrs. Norris. I'm not sure that I like them.
I see Filch. Filch kind of makes me laugh because I can almost picture him significantly younger. Excited, like I get to take care of this castle and all these magical people around and all of this is cool and I get to be a part of it. And then over time you're realizing you're around a bunch of magical tweens and teens. And God help me.
And see, you've seen the movies, so you've seen like what his actual character is. But I picture him as this guy that's just super crabby, that hates his job and can't believe he got stuck doing this thing and just wants to basically like be mean to everybody. And he just really wishes that he could just turn all of the kids into like mice or something so that his cat could eat them.
I think he just frees them all. Just like, stop moving.
Yeah.
Do what you're told.
And he, to me, which I don't know, obviously, but it almost sounds like he is a guy that doesn't actually have any magic, that he is like, he wants to be what do I say? Like the kind of guy that wants to be like the big man on campus, but yet he is not.
Doesn't have the ability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so he kind of just comes across as like, hey, I am the keeper of everything, but yet he really...
Here's the power I can wield because I can't wield magical powers.
Exactly. And then the cat just likes to tattle, even though it can't technically tattle.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Mrs. Norris is definitely a tattletale.
Right. But he seems to know all of the ins and outs of the entire place. Mm-hmm. Possibly more than the twins that like to get into things. However, the twins seem to also know quite a bit, which is kind of funny to me because they seem to get into a lot of mischief.
I love it.
And I really hope they send their little sister a toilet seat still. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yes, I thought that was adorable. I thought it was funny when Hagrid sends the note to Harry and says, hey, or Harry and Ron, I guess.
Yes.
Or I guess just Harry. And then Harry brings along Ron.
Yep.
And he says, send us back an owl. And I was like, nobody questioned who us is? Then you get there and find out there's a ginormous dog.
Right. Yep.
Named Fang that, outweighs you 10-1 and is a teddy bear, which tracks.
Right. Totally tracks.
For all the dog people out there who have seen those oversized dogs, it's like, oh God, you could kill me and you would much rather just slobber on me.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Well, and I also find it funny that Hagrid gives them rock cakes with raisins that could break their teeth. So it's like aptly named at that point too. So, and then they can't say no. So they like take all of these rock cakes,
fill their
with them.
pockets. And
then it just like in my mind, all I can picture is Hansel and Gretel as they're like dropping them on their way back to Hogwarts.
I had that thought. I was like, do you throw them as you walk back to the castle so that like animals can eat them, or do you spare the animals and get them back to the castle first?
Right. And what do they do with them? Do they leave them in their pockets? Do they have like Hagrid's style trench coat where they have a million pockets and they just like leave them in their pockets for some random like mouse that's in there or something?
I don't know.
Or they feed them to the owls? Like,
oh, the poor owls. Broken beak pieces everywhere.
Oh,
Hagrid!
That would hurt. That would definitely hurt.
I was just laughing. I was like, nobody questioned who us is.
True.
And I love the detail that he had a patchwork quilt on his bed. Because in my head, I was like, well, that's super practical because then you could make it to size because he's oversized and there's probably isn't, quote unquote, standard sheets for a giant. Right. And so, but I was like, I'm also a quilter, thanks to my in-laws are amazing quilters. I try.
Yep.
And so just having this idea of like, I know how much work goes into a quilt and how much care and time and everything that is. So that had me like, who made it for him? Did he make it himself? Like, did he put that time in to make something on his bed that was comfortable for him? Or is this something somebody helped him piece together?
Speaking of that, isn't back in chapter the one where Hagrid takes him shopping, doesn't he start knitting?
Yes, he does.
So maybe he makes it himself. He makes it himself. And so maybe he is.
Quilts also.
Yeah. That's a very
awesome.
interesting storyline. I wonder.
It's very crafty.
Yeah.
For a giant. Again,
sure.
Fang and Hagrid go together very well.
Very
they
well.
both look extremely intimidating and mean. And like, again, you could kill me with your pinky.
For sure.
But he has a pink umbrella and he knits and maybe quilts and like takes care of vegetables outside his little hut.
Rock.
And makes terrible treats. But he bakes.
Right.
He has all these like soft
side.
I really hate to stereotype this, but more feminine features for somebody who's such a ginormous man with a big beard. Is like, I love the dichotomy there. The back and forth is like, oh, like I can't quite like, this is cool. Like,
you can't quite like place him in a way or like, or stereotype him in a way at that point.
In a good way.
Yeah, exactly. He is just a fully rounded character. And when
he's comfortable with who he is.
Exactly. And when you think about him and you read his words, he doesn't have the education, like you think of the way that he speaks or his like house and everything like that.
It's not clean. It's not precise. It's not.
But it's homey and it's cozy, and he's just like the type of person that you would want to be with and hang out with, and turning this on the parent side, it's something I want my kids taught by. Exactly.
It's something I want my kids to role model of like, be comfortable with who you are.
Yeah.
Who gives a damn?
Yep.
Be who you are.
Yeah.
Says engineer.
Right. And like, I think of like just reading how his house is. I think of, so I've never read The Hobbit or anything, but just thinking of like Ireland and that kind of coziness, it just kind of makes me picture like Ireland style cottages in like the lush green,
the
rocky,
lush green with the drizzly at the gray around a fireplace.
I just think of his house just being so cozy and just
now.
like I wanna drink my English tea and like have my rock hard biscuits and like whatnot, and just kind of hang out,
just cozy up.
Yeah, exactly, and just
like
be.
Yeah.
So
Hagrid is cozy.
for sure. But yeah, I just want to like hang out with him now at that point. But then you kind of think about what Draco said. I believe it was Draco that we met in the robe store, and how he's like, well, you can't hang out with somebody like that.
Yeah.
And I kind of think about that and I go,
your prejudice is showing, Malfoy.
Right. And I kind of am just thinking about that. And I'm like, okay, but you don't know that person.
Right.
So instead of passing judgment, like, let's think of what else we could do.
Well, this just hit way too real time.
Like, let's meet him and talk to him. Let's hang out with him.
Hang out. Yes. Stop judging a book by its cover.
Exactly.
To stay in line with the podcast and to not go off on a total soapbox here.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And on to other things.
Well, and then let's talk about the opposite of cozy. So we kind of go through, it's kind of a fun go through the spectrum that I guess the chapter more ends with Hagrid, but you start with, super cozy Hagrid, and then we've got, okay, kind of fun, whatever, little Flitwick, Professor Flitwick, and the ghost.
Right.
Just like died and then went back to teaching. I love it.
Yeah, that was weird.
I love it.
Like, what happens to the actual body?
Don't worry about it. It gets thrown in the forest and we just move on.
Is that what happens?
No, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Totally made that up. But I love this. I have had teachers in school that I was like, you are going to die at your desk, aren't you? Oof. And to have this concept of like, oh, one did. I just think it's really funny because it's not a real person.
Right.
Which is why it's funny. And so, yes, we go through the fun, and then little Sprout, which is funny because she teaches herbology.
Yep.
Good name. And then McGonagall, who's a teacher I would have appreciated as a kid, who's very strict. You know what to expect.
Yep.
You just do what you're told and you're in good shape. That's my kind of teacher.
Yeah.
And I write requirements for a living. Like, I like to know what my boundaries are. I like to know what's expected of me. And so having that, like, strict teachers and I always got along really well.
So you were like Hermione then.
So.
Not in the, I need to know, like, not in the know-it-all
book. I need to memorize my books kind of way. But yes, in a like I enjoy being in class. I enjoy learning from somebody who's motivated.
Right.
I've had teachers also throughout my life that are just, you can tell they're just not invested.
Okay.
I think is the right word in their subject. And it's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
But having a teacher who's straightforward, like, look at these badass things you're going to be able to do right out of the gate. Now let's work on a matchstick.
Right.
It's like, oh man, like, way to set the bar high there. And so, yeah, I enjoy her rules. And then we go to Snape.
Yep.
She's like, oh boy, like, here's a kid that can't get away from people looking and staring at him, and I'm going to make fun of him in front of an entire class.
Right. And just like be super cruel.
Yeah. Not cool.
No.
Not cool, Snape. Bad teacher.
Well, not just bad teacher, but like bad role model in a way.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And just, I mean, he's picking on an 11-year-old.
Yes.
Like, how much lower can you really be as an adult in a way?
Yes.
And I mean, I understand that, like, he's a celebrity, like Harry Potter's a celebrity, but you don't just be like, oh, you have to know all of these things. Like, he's never lived in the wizard world. He doesn't know a single thing.
Which is the only extremely thin benefit of the doubt I will give Snape, is that he doesn't know.
Right.
He doesn't know the Dursleys. He doesn't know he hasn't been in the wizarding world. He doesn't know any of that. Still not okay.
Right.
Like, not condoning this.
Yep.
But like,
but the fact that he like literally also belittles Hermione as well by not allowing her to speak at all. Like, she's literally going, come on, pick on me, pick me. She's standing and waving her arm. Yeah, that's a little teacher's pet if you ask me. However.
But yeah, still not okay. It is an interesting reminder to the reader and to everybody around that, like, and more importantly to Hermione, of, you are not the main character.
Right.
Sit down.
Yeah.
I will get to you later.
Yeah.
I am addressing the main character who the story is about right now, because it's not about you. And so that's always, like, interesting to me that every now and then this happens, that one of the, quote unquote, more main characters gets shot down by an adult or a situation, and all of a sudden Harry's back in front. And it's this constant reminder to the other kids around of, the story's not about you.
That's an interesting aspect, because, like, while Harry Potter, this entire series, as it were, is about Harry Potter, it's just about his life. There are a lot of main characters in the series. And when you write series, or even have shows that are like, take Charmed, you've got the three sisters, and the storylines are about typically all three of them. And then you have the fourth sister that comes in later on or whatever. And you sometimes see her and things like that and whatnot. But, like, it's very interesting that you've got, like, all of these main characters, but you're still wanting to focus on just the one, in a way.
Yeah, we're still world building for the one.
That's an interesting aspect that I hadn't fully conceptualized.
Christina just turned towards me and her notebook slid off of her lap. And it's like, this is like, well then.
Yeah, like it's just...
Sorry, it was,
like
it was a funny visual.
Like my mind just literally like, I feel like it just blew up. Because you're still going to have the storylines with all of the main characters. Because... I do know some things happen with Hermione and Ron and Neville and Draco and all of these people throughout the stories. I don't know what necessarily happens,
right.
But I do know things happen. And then I know that Ginny comes in at some point down the line or whatever because she comes to Hogwarts.
Next year. Yeah, next book.
But like, while Harry Potter is the main character... the rest are also main characters.
The rest drive his story.
But they're not necessarily main characters.
And it's kind of the same when...
Oh my gosh.
and going back, it's kind of the same when Hagrid comes busting down the door at the hut on the rock looking for Harry Potter. And the Dursleys are there and they're like, we're going to tell you to get lost. And Hagrid's like, no, you're not the main character. Get out of my way. I will do whatever it takes to get to the main character and get to his story. It's a theme.
It is. And it's kind of sort of crazy because while like you see like specifically Hermione. Hermione is very much a character that to me is sort of annoying right now. She's very know-it-all, very much a front runner as far as like feeling like she just needs to be a part of everything.
Right.
And Ron has some sort of issue with her. There's just some sort of issue.
Ron's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th Weasley kid.
Yes.
I think he
the
is
6th boy.
So tired of getting told what to do.
Yep.
And then enter Hermione, who decides to take the role of the 5 older siblings to tell him what to do.
Right.
And he's like, no, I got away from that.
Yeah.
Go away.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how quiet the house is for Ginny right now?
Oh, I'm sure it's crazy quiet.
Oh, she and Molly are having a great time. They're having a great school year.
Yeah, probably. But like with Hermione, like she just wants to be she loves the attention. And
she has to prove herself.
She feels like she needs to prove herself because she
Absolutely.
is a muggle.
Yeah.
In a wizard world. Though I did realize in one of these 2 chapters that there are quite a few of them. And I did not realize that because that wasn't like actually explicitly really said until these chapters that there are a lot of them like that.
Which is also another reminder of Hermione, you're not as special as you think you are.
Right.
You're special in your own way. You've got to find your own way to be special and not be the I'm special
brown
because
noser.
I'm from the Muggle family. The brown noser.
Which just brings me to Lizzie McGuire. I always think of the
You just aged us again.
I know, right? I always think of the movie when
gosh, I haven't seen that movie yet.
Now I can't think of his name. I just had it on the tip of my tongue.
Sorry.
It starts with a G. And now I can't
George,
think. No,
Greg,
no,
Garrett.
It's different. No, it'll come to me and I'll blurt it out in the middle of a sentence at some point.
We'll get there.
But yeah, it always reminds me of the movie Lizzie McGuire and she goes to Spain. But yeah. Anyways, I have a note here about Hermione and I was gonna say something, but I don't remember. Oh, her being one of the only ones to change the match. Because you said something about the match earlier.
She starts to turn the matchstick into the needle? That's what they're trying to do?
She changed it to silver.
Yeah.
She was the only one in the class to change it to silver.
They made progress.
So going back to Hermione being special in her own way and everything, this only brings her to another level of being like, ooh, I am special because I'm the only one that could do this.
Right. It's frustrating because at this age, and again, got to reset. She's 11.
Right.
I'm kind of rereading the 7th book right now, which she's not 11. And so I keep having to reset myself of like, what's her age? Because she is special. She's extremely talented.
Right.
The problem is at 11, she does not know how to be talented and humble and helpful and all of these things. She only knows how to be extremely talented and obnoxious.
Yeah.
Which is, okay, character arc. Like we got potential. Let's go. You're 11.
Right.
But yeah, that's like, you are special.
Yep.
Like there's no denying that. You're the only one who can do a few things.
Yep.
And like in potions, I think, she had it well also, and Snape just ignored her.
Yep.
But like, it's like, you are good. You are extremely good.
Yep.
Now stop being a jerk about it.
Right. Stop being the know-it-all. Stop being so gloating. Like, stop just trying to be the person that kind of feels like she's got to like
compensate for something.
Yeah, exactly. And I, in a way, can understand where she's coming from. I have brothers that are so smart. Like, they're so extremely smart in a lot of in a lot of ways that I will just never be. And that's okay because I'm smart in other ways that they aren't.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Everyone
At
is.
36, I finally figured that out. But like,
it can take a while. It's okay.
yeah. And that's okay. And she's 11 and that's okay. But like, we'll get there.
Tone it down. Tone it down. Come on, honey.
For sure. For sure.
It's one of those, oh, sweetie. Like,
right. Looking back now, you're kind of like, oh, come on. But what's with the turban and the garlic and like,
I can't decide if that sounds
so like that professor.
All the garlic, if that sounds delicious smelling or not. I love me some garlic.
Okay. Yeah, no. Like, I love garlic. I don't think I could reek of garlic 24/7.
That's fair. To be that afraid of vampires.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Nope.
I think it's funny.
Right. But
yeah. Oh, Quirrell.
I was going to ask how to say his name so I just kind of like left it out. I just keep calling him for Professor Q because I'm like,
Q. Yeah.
I don't exactly know how to
Q.
say it.
Yeah, Quirrell.
And then like the only other note that I had when it came to the professors was like that Snape just totally has it out for him because I just don't.
He wants his job.
Well,
supposedly.
Yeah, Snape has it out like for Professor Q and wants his job because I think he wants to be evil. And I think he wants to like lead something evil at Hogwarts.
You don't think he's succeeding at that at the moment?
Like, obviously, I think he's starting to kind of get there. But I wonder if Professor Quirrell were to get rid of the garlic, if Snape would be able to get the vampire to eat him or something. Like,
Come
maybe.
lure it in.
Yeah,
Come
for sure.
join us.
Exactly. And Snape totally has it out for Harry.
Oh, yeah.
And all
that was going to be
that.
one of my end fun questions about, like, why does Snape hate Harry?
Oh, you totally can
quote unquote hate.
Ask me that in just a second because my other thing I was going to bring up is the Hagrid newspaper article. Mm-hmm. The vault being searched.
713.
Yes.
Yeah.
That having been searched, I think that the package that Hagrid took is the vault that was searched by the person Voldemort.
Whoever broke in.
Yes. I think it was searched by Voldemort. because he would have been the only one that probably could have gotten past the
goblins and the dragons and the whatever other enchantments we don't even know about.
And I bet you Charlie is part. We know that Ron's two brothers are working with Gringotts and dragons, and we know that dragons and Gringotts work together. So I think both of his brothers are working together to figure out who searched the Gringotts vault.
Who broke in.
And I think they're both working to figure out where Voldemort is. Wherever
he is.
Yes.
You just wrote like an entire new offshoot. Now I really want. Let's start casting people. Let's go. Let's write a script.
Oh, cool. Sweet. Okay, so I'm totally wrong. But
I love it because why not?
Okay.
Why can't the Weasleys be involved?
Hey, sweet.
There we go.
Okay.
Fantastic Beasts got canceled. Here we go. Bill and Charlie's Adventures.
There we go. Christina's completely wrong. However, I think that would have been really neat.
Krista did not say that.
Oh, okay. Well, anyways, I think
I'm just saying, I like this side story.
Yeah. I think that's what's going on because we know that there's dragons down there. Well, we don't know that there's dragons down there. It's told that there are dragons somewhere down there. And so, yeah, I think that's what's going on.
Like it.
But I think Snape doesn't like Harry because of Voldemort. And I think that Snape thinks that Harry is either going to help make all of the evil people go away, or Snape is going to help figure out a way to make Harry evil. See, I'm still on the whole Harry could go either way.
Fair.
So I think that's why Snape has an issue with Harry, because I think Snape can tell that he can go either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean, so can the Sorting Hat.
True that.
Bum, bum, bum.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, Snape's eyes, they creep me out.
There. I like how it's described, because we were talking about like the difference between warm fuzzy Hagrid and Snape. It's
You're
like
right.
they have the same eyes.
Yep.
But Hagrid's
Are they brothers?
No, I will veto that one right now.
Okay.
Well, fun. No. No.
I mean, they do look different, but
Yeah,
I mean,
quite a
who
bit.
knows? They have the same eyeballs.
I like fun theories, Manu. But Hagrid's are like, even though they look like black little beetles, they're still somehow welcoming. Whereas Snape's are described as dark tunnels, like endless tunnels.
Yeah.
I'm like, ooh, that's creepy. Like,
That is creepy.
what a great way to describe two things that can go either way.
Could Snape's tunnely eyes be like
Did it get you
Gringotts' eyeballs? Like Gringotts' tunnels?
Oh, endlessly.
That's weird.
Oh, that's weird.
Could you go down the like Snape's eyeballs like in the?
We have not been drinking, I promise.
Nope, definitely not.
It's actually the middle of the day for the first time.
Right?
It's super late.
Yeah. No, I can just imagine like endless tunneled beetle eyeballs like being like a roller coaster.
There we go.
I don't know why.
Universal. Get on it.
Exactly. Imagine walking into the eyeballs.
Oh,
of
God.
Like, could you imagine like
No, thank
Snape's
you. No, I don't want
face as
to.
being like the
I'm glad
entrance?
it's not late because I wouldn't sleep tonight.
Could be like a horror movie first.
No. Okay, moving on. Chapter 9. Let's get to flying. I like flying.
Speaking of flying, no, not yet. We don't talk about flying yet because Dudley 2.0.
Oh, gosh. I made that note too.
Dudley 2.0 is Draco Malfoy.
Which, by the way, we do not share
Malfoy.
notes. And yes.
Malfoy.
Ends in a Y. Malfoy.
Malfoy.
There you go. Malfoy. I'm going to say it weird.
I am going to butcher every name until I can learn how to say them.
It'll
I
get
have
easier once we've watched the movie.
I have 8 books to learn every name, right?
$7.
7 books?
8 movies, $7.
How are there more movies than books? Is it like Twilight where
movies.
they split?
That's the only one that they split.
Okay.
They should have split book 5. That's a different story. So when we get to it, book 5 is the longest book and the shortest movie. Don't get me started.
Okay.
Yeah, I made that note that said Harry never thought he'd meet a boy he hated more than Dudley. And I was like, that's a tall order. And oh, by the way, you were stuck with little Duddykins for for 9.5 years.
Yeah, because he was 15 months old.
15 months. Yep. So 9.5 years. And you have known Malfoy for a month.
Right.
Max.
Yep.
And you hate somebody more than Dudley. Like, whew.
That's
a strong sentence right there.
Yep. That is definitely.
That's a strong sentence.
I mean, could you imagine a worse, like how torturous Dudley was to you? Yeah. And then imagine the worst, like, things that.
Now you're dealing with somebody who can do all that stuff with magic.
Oof. Yeah. And he can't really completely fight back either.
And has the same little henchman following him around.
Yep.
But yeah, I was like, ooh, yeah, that sentence stood out to me. But I was like, in my head, I was like, okay, is this worse than Dudley simply because in Harry's head, Dudley is gone?
Right.
Like who knows if he has to go back to the Dursleys or not? Like, are we done with the Dursleys? Like,
right.
Again, I know, but
does he have to go back on like spring break or something?
Summer vacation,
right?
Put vacation in air quotes.
All I can imagine is the SpongeBob like 2 seconds later. Summer vacation
with the Dursleys. Doesn't sound like vacation. I've lost Christina.
Anyways.
But yeah, like, so it could be like he is worse than Dudley simply because Dudley is no longer in the picture at the moment. And Harry could, without unknowingly, use magic to, sorry, I moved away from my mic to itch as I was talking. Shouldn't do that. And so Harry was always able to unknowingly use magic to get away from Dudley, get up on the roof, whatever. Move the glass. Whereas now it's a level playing field with Malfoy.
Is he still unknowingly doing things though? This is something that's not quite written. Like, is he still like, I don't know, is his plate coming off of the table and smacking Draco in the face? Like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah. No, it seems almost like the castle like equalizes everything.
Oh.
And like now they've learned to control it.
Right. Okay.
I'm going to go all Star Wars here. That's like, yeah, once you know you can use the Force,
right.
Luke, like, you know how to not do it also.
Wars? Oh, yes. Never mind. I totally was like, oh, that's Star Trek. No.
Oh, no. There's no magical powers in Star Trek. I have a friend that's going to jump on me and prove to me that I'm wrong. But like, yeah, it seems like once you're aware of it, you know when it's happening. You know when to stop it and be like, nope, don't do that.
Or maybe it's like the house kind of like.
Or the castle is like, plate stays on the table.
Right. Maybe it's like a neutralizer where it just kind of basically doesn't allow you to just unknowingly do things.
Right. Who knows?
Well, that would be lame.
Yeah, no. So now we get to flying?
Not
Madam
yet.
Hooch? Oh, okay.
I mean, flying only comes like halfway through the book.
Through the chapter?
Yeah. Chapter, book, whatever. Same difference. First we have to go to some of our classes, right?
Didn't we get through all the classes?
Interesting. Let's see here. I said interesting that they only take classes together with their houses for the most part.
Yeah. I think that's kind of fun.
I mean, to a point, I think it's interesting because how do you start learning who people are? Mm-hmm. Like outside of your own personalities, because you have to think when you're within your own house, you have a lot of the same personalities.
Ooh,
so
good point.
when you're
kind of.
How?
Because you have a lot of the same, I'm going to say like core values, core trait. And I'm not even going to say values. I'm going to say core motivations.
Okay.
But picture like Neville and Hermione could not have more different personalities.
Oh, yeah.
And
true.
they are in the same house. But yeah, I mean, supposedly we don't know enough about all of the characters yet to say like, but they're both like equally brave or whatever. Like, okay, fine.
True.
And everyone in Hufflepuff is equally book motivated. Like,
Right.
that's Ravenclaw.
Okay.
Sorry. But like, so like at the core and deep core,
They
have things in common.
Okay.
I'm gonna jump ahead to a soccer analogy here. Like, if you got a soccer team, everyone's on the same team. Clearly, everyone likes soccer. They're all working together. They all have the same goal. They all have the same training and motivations and whatever. But they don't necessarily have the same personalities.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. I guess I'm just more wondering, like, how do they get to kind of meet,
Mingle?
like, yeah, like in a way, how do they?
Yeah.
So obviously they have the Slytherin class that they have to take with Snape.
So all of the classes they take with another house.
Okay, that's not
It's not
necessarily
totally clear.
how. Okay, yeah, I was gonna say it's not totally clear that way because they definitely only kind of make it clear in the way where the Snape class, and then they have to do the flying class with the Slytherins
also.
Yep, but they don't necessarily talk about any other classes being that way
because they're boring.
Probably.
But that's what they're celebrating. That initially. Potions is the only class they have to take with the Slytherins.
Okay.
But the other classes they do take with other houses.
Okay. That makes more sense then. Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously, well, I guess the Quidditch teams are with your houses also.
Okay. Yeah, because then at that point,
on the weekends you meander around
on a team. But then I was going to ask you, what are your thoughts on Ron and Dean's argument over Quidditch and soccer, Krista?
I think it's fun. I think it's like the way people in this country argue whether or not baseball or football are better. Like, they're both fun. Depends what you like.
Right.
I do love Ron poking at his poster trying to make the soccer players move. I can just picture that.
Right.
I was like, that's really funny. Being like, what is with this boring poster? What the
Why
hell?
can't they move?
Do something. Like,
right.
Pokes with stick.
Right.
Like, literally. So I always thought that was really funny. And yeah, I think it's funny that, especially as kids, we get into this, and even adults do it too, get into this, well, my sport's better because it's like, well,
right.
There's sports for everybody and it's okay.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Quidditch. And obviously I love soccer. We watched football together last night. Right. I like football. I think baseball is really boring on TV. I like going to games though. Like, to each their own. I don't really care. I was laughing because of all the teams to choose in the Premier League. West Ham United is not great. No offense to all the West Ham fans out there.
Right.
Because, like, hey, they are Premier League. Like, great. They're not getting relegated. Cool. I did have to look it up. They are 14th out of 20 at the moment.
Nice.
Like,
that's not horrible. They're not last.
They're not terrible. Bottom two teams get relegated every year and get kicked out of the Premier League. So they're They're not there.
Yeah.
But they're not great.
Right.
So I was like, that's as the author, I thought that was a unique team to pick.
Right.
Of somebody who's very
maybe
safe.
That's like a home team or a favorite like family team.
That's
for
what,
her
I was
something.
debating that, or I was like, or copyright. You can't put Manchester on there.
Maybe.
And also the author didn't put the full name of, is it's actually West Ham United. And I was like, I wonder if that's a thing. I have no idea. I did not look that up. That was not one of my, fun deep dives of the week. But but yeah, I was like, that's a very safe team to choose.
Right. They're like right in the middle, kind of just
They're not winning. They're not losing. You're not going to make any of the crosstown rivals angry. Like,
right.
I was like, that's fascinating.
Yeah. That is funny.
But yeah, I think it's funny because you see kids in school especially argue and getting these, argument's a strong word, but getting these little bickering matches over just really dumb stuff that really doesn't matter.
Yep.
And of course, Ron from the Wizard family is going to be like, well, of course Quidditch is better because that's what he grew up playing.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Whereas, Dean grew up watching soccer and probably playing soccer.
And he's probably from a Muggle family.
Yeah.
Because, that's where my brain went. He's probably from a Muggle family that probably played and watched
what
soccer.
He grew up doing.
Yep, because he didn't know what Quidditch was.
One's not better than the other.
Right, exactly. And now, in my mind, why haven't we figured out how to play Quidditch?
like as like us?
Well, yeah, like obviously we can't fly.
So
we do. We do play Quidditch?
I mean, not like on the NFL level, but yes.
Really?
Most small colleges have a quote unquote Quidditch team.
Seriously?
Dead serious.
Okay, I'm gonna have to Google this. This is
I know my brother's college did.
Okay.
And I watched it.
Google. I am writing this down. Google
Quidditch teams.
Quidditch teams.
Because I think
Quidditch.
Do we get the rules?
I gotta remember how to spell Quidditch.
I got it. Yes. Quidditch.
I had to find it on my notes.
So that is not chapter 10, but that is chapter 11. So we'll talk more about the rules and everything next time.
Okay.
Which
I believe you said last episode that the author got to a point where she was like, I can't write about this anymore. About
so it slowly gets phased out.
Yeah.
Or it's like if I don't know. Have you watched Ted Lasso?
No.
I started rewatching it last night. But it's it's about a soccer team.
Okay.
And it's funny to me that sometimes they show them playing, but obviously they're all actors. Some of them are very skilled athletes.
Okay.
Some of the actors are. But like the one I watched last night, they're getting all hyped up for this big game, and then all you get is one of the characters standing in the locker room by himself and you just get like an announcer overhead, like kind of this like time lapse of the announcer talking about which team wins, and then all of a sudden all the players come back into the locker room celebrating.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's these cheating ways of like, and they played and waves hand here. So you'll start to see more of that as we get later in the books of like, and then the next day after, Gryffindor beat Slytherin on the Quidditch pitch, they were having breakfast. And like, it's pretty funny. It's a pretty fun little, I don't like writing Quidditch hand wave.
That's so funny.
I love it.
That's funny.
I'm like, oh, you created this extremely elaborate thing and then regretted having created this extremely elaborate sport.
Right.
Which we'll get all the rules next time.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's really funny.
Okay, now I'm definitely going to have to Google this because I really want to see what it actually... Because I can't necessarily picture what they're...
I said you don't have the rules
they
yet.
haven't even really talked about it much.
The balls.
Exactly. And all
the pieces, yeah.
And all I've really gotten so far is what they've talked about in this chapter. And so I really haven't quite gotten there yet. And so obviously now I'm going to have to go and Google what it is after I've read the next two chapters because I don't want to necessarily overstep anything. But, so before we get to the flying, I know we're totally getting there, but we're almost there. We're almost there, I promise. But I do have to say that I feel like I would have been Neville as a child. And I feel like I need to have like a scoreboard of how many times Neville goes to the hospital wing. And maybe because you've read all of the books.
A list of how many bones he's broken.
Because I feel like... And maybe this is something because you've read all the books. Maybe we should have a tally of how many times on like our socials.
That'd be funny.
Because
keep a tally of all of them, like just every character that ever goes to hospital wing.
We should.
Oh, that'd be kind of fun.
Because I was a kid that totally broke a lot of bones.
Every bone in your body.
A lot of them. I've broken all my fingers, most of my toes. I've broken both my wrists multiple times, both my ankles multiple times, a lot of my ribs.
Yes, this is why you live in a bubble now.
Well, and I grew up with placemats, rubber placemats on my walls. I mean, I showed you that picture from my childhood bedroom. They were very colorful.
Yes. You grew up in a padded room.
Yep. It was fine. A padded room.
It's fine.
And a lot of people, when I started learning how to drive, they were like,
please don't.
Exactly.
Oh, that'd be a fun. Okay.
So I was kind of like,
tally now.
Maybe we should figure out a way to do a tally for the hospital wing, because Neville's been there twice now. He had the boils. And then he falls trying to figure out how to do the broomstick when they're starting to learn how to fly. So he breaks his wrist. So, I feel like I definitely would have been Neville as a child because he was very clumsy. I don't know that I would have been the other part of Neville where I lost my toad all the time. Though I did have a toad as a kid. Aww. I grew up from a tadpole. We did a science thing in school where every kid had a tadpole in a big tank, and then we all got to bring them home.
To raise it?
Yes. And then my dad was like, I'm allergic to, what kind of animals are they?
Reptiles?
Reptiles? Sure. Yeah. I don't know. He was like, I'm allergic to things that don't have fur. And then my mom was like, I'm allergic to everything with fur. So I wasn't allowed to have.
Goodbye, frog.
Yeah, exactly. So
go to the pond.
I went down to the pond that lived by our house, and I let him go. And so I had a as a kid. So I basically was Neville as a child. Oh,
this is amazing.
But yeah, so
I did love that when he fell, his broom goes off into the forest and just like disappears. So I was like,
the never.
How many brooms are out in the forbidden forest? Like, do we have like a?
Do they come back?
I'm gonna come up with random magical creatures here. Do we have like dragons can fly, not fun. But is there like a unicorn Quidditch league happening out in the forbidden forest off all these abandoned brooms? Like,
wouldn't that be fun?
That was my visual. Like as the broom flies off, I was like,
well, couldn't it come back?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. It just says it disappears into the forest. It doesn't elaborate. So my brain went, magical creatures on brooms in the forest plane. Like little bunnies on brooms. Like,
and then but my brain went to it went past some void that no longer you can't see through this weird fog blackness of some sort, and
protects
I'm just
the castle.
Yeah. Weird. Your brain and my brain are completely I think
that's why this works.
I know, right? But I think of some scary horror thing around the castle for the Forbidden Forest, and you think of magical creatures.
It's fair. Also, again, I read all the books. True. I've been in the Forbidden Forest.
Oh, you get to go into the Forbidden Forest. Okay. Okay. Now we've got it right there. Top of the next page. Harry can fly.
We both blow out our mics. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, hubby. Who is our IT person?
Yeah. AV specialist.
Or AV person. Sorry. Yes. So Harry can fly.
Hermione's iffy at this.
I know. She's probably going to be very angry. Neville breaks himself.
But this isn't something she can just naturally do. It's finally Harry's turn.
Yep.
To have something come naturally.
And Malfoy is really good at it, just like he said he's
okay. He's okay.
Yep.
He's cocky. And then he gets up there.
Yep.
And then Harry's like, oh, look, I'm up here too. What you gonna do about it?
Right? Like father, like son.
Uh-huh.
So,
uh-oh, you can rise to my height. Crap.
Without actually realizing what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's just doing it.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Yeah. I just like the fact that he gets up there and he just has the confidence. It's like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Completely different.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to see what happens with him and a broomstick. Which, by the way, when I first read that they were going to go learn how to fly, I was like, I thought they weren't allowed to have broomsticks. And then I realized, they have to use school ones. And I was like, ew.
Yeah.
I could just imagine like the one that my child was using yesterday that has like all of these random like pokies coming out. And then that's exactly what I was reading. I was like, yep, that's exactly.
The one that then my
your
toddler
was using trying to
move rocks back into place in your backyard.
Yeah, so I have fake grass, and a thing two is trying to sweep the rocks
and the leaves
off of the fake grass with my broom, and I'm like, cool, okay, cool.
He was unsuccessful.
It was adorable though.
It was cute. Yeah. I was like, just he was out there by himself.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. But I was just imagining, because that broom has definitely seen better days. It's definitely lived a long life. And so it looks kind of crazy. And I just imagine that broom being the one from the school.
You got to deal with.
And that's exactly what it read. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. That's exactly what I thought it was going to look like.
Yeah.
But
nope.
And then just Ron just kind of casually telling Harry like, oh, I'm just
Did you get ahead? Did you get ahead?
I'm just I'm gonna make a mark right there. 12:17.
Yeah. Yeah. So okay. So we get to Harry again, thinking he's about to be expelled, being led through the castle by McGonagall, who saw him catch Remember All. And and then we meet very briefly Oliver Wood, which again, going back to Professor Sprout, who's herbology, haha. And oh shoot, there was another teacher that name's totally escaping me at the moment. Well, Quirrell is kind of funny. You quarrel, you fight, and he's defense against the dark arts. Har har. Wood, Oliver Wood is the captain of the team that flies around on wooden brooms. Ha ha ha. Like, there's a lot of these fun little ties of names in this book. Instead of being expelled, he's on a team and he doesn't know what the team is. I was like, oh boy. Huh? You're looking at me like I'm crazy.
What do you mean, what team? Isn't he going on the Gryffindor team?
Yeah, but he doesn't know what Quidditch is.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he doesn't know what the sport is. Congratulations, you've made the Quidditch team.
Yeah, Professor McGonagall.
Big G. Rough G.
She pulls out Wood, and Wood explains all of that stuff, and then he goes to lunch.
And then that's that.
Yeah, and goes to dinner, and then he's telling Ron about it. And then the twins come over and they're like, we have to keep it a secret. And then everybody knows.
Everybody knows, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then he ends up in a duel. Like, how do you go from being almost expelled for going flying
and to be so terrified to be expelled to then be like, I'm going to go duel this person and potentially be expelled again. Like, come on, Harry.
Right? I just was like very confused by, okay, we're going to be almost expelled to being on a Quidditch team to being, let's go do a duel to being almost expelled to being chased down a bunch of corridors with Filch and Mrs. Norris and finding some random passageway that they're in the forbidden corridor and all of the things in the forbidden area to almost being expelled. Like, dude,
that's been
he had a
day.
Crazy day.
That's a day.
Yeah. For an 11-year-old, that's a crazy day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the way that Ron explains what a duel is so casually.
It's like you guys are going to be able to throw sparks at each other, so just smack them. Punch him in the nose.
He's like, yeah, a duel is like where like one of you just goes until you die. Like
I'm your second to step in.
Yeah, exactly.
And now I just have the Hamilton song stuck in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh my goodness.
As I stand there and can't do anything. Because I haven't learned any spells or jinxes yet to actually hurt somebody. You can't turn him into a needle.
Right. Except for Hermione, who can turn it into a silver thing.
So she might be able to turn Malfoy silver. But.
Right. Except Malfoy sets them up. Yeah, or at least that's what this is suspected.
He's not super dumb.
Definitely not.
He's sinister, but he ain't dumb.
Nope. And so then they realize that Filch and Mrs. Norris are there to trap them. And Hermione ends up with them like it's their fault that she is with them.
I thought that was a funny phrase to use, because we going back to our, a boy he hated more than Dudley, and then Hermione is the most interfering person he's ever been around. I was like, again, you lived under a staircase with an aunt that pounded on your door every morning to make your cousin breakfast, and yet Hermione is the most interfering person you've ever been around. Like,
true.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
But again, it's what's in your face.
True.
And I was like, maybe he's so annoyed with her interfering because he knows she's right. Ooh. And knows this is like, it's bothering him of like I'm going to do this for pride. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be, but I'm 11 and it's pride. So, screw you. Let's go.
Right. Yep.
So why did she follow them?
Though, why even try to stop them? Because she wants to? Because she thinks that she knows better?
She thinks she knows everything.
Does
she can convince them. I was the big sister who thought I could tell my little brother what to do. I currently have a daughter who thinks she can tell her little brother what to do.
True that. I get it.
Doesn't win.
True.
It's a losing battle, honey.
Yeah. I mean... yeah, I was definitely the mom to both my brothers too, I suppose. So.
I get her trying to stop them. I'm always a little confused about why she joins them.
Why does she leave the painting?
Yeah. Like I was like, okay, fine. You're going to meet them down there and try to convince them otherwise.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
But she could have gone back to her room.
Then, I'd be like, okay, you guys are idiots. Deuces. I'm going back to bed.
Exactly.
Instead of... This sounds like fun. I'm going to keep you out of trouble. I was like, how is that working out for you so far?
Yep. And then why does Neville go with them?
He doesn't want. I feel so bad for Neville. I just find him sleeping on a random stair because he can't get back into the room
because he can't remember the new password. How many times does the password change?
Too often.
I don't know that I would ever be able to get around in this place because I would never remember anything ever.
Yeah, no, like Neville's like, well, my choices are to sleep alone on a stair in the dark or see what the heck you fools are up to. Sure, why not?
I think I would still
merry band of misfits.
True.
I would have fallen back to sleep on the stair.
Probably me too.
I would have written the password down on my arm, but
in Sharpie.
But it changes.
But then it changes. Yeah. Temporary tattoo, maybe.
There's got to be a magical thing for that. But you trust Neville to tattoo himself? Probably not.
True, not at all. But then winding up in the Forbidden Corridor. Because of Peeves. Like, seriously, Peeves, come on, dude.
So also, that joke that Peeves makes when he's talking to Filch. I will say nothing, and then he says nothing. When I read that with my daughter, who's 6, she about fell out of the bed laughing so hard.
She understood the joke.
Oh, she totally understood the joke.
That's awesome.
And she was like, Peeves is my favorite character. And like, she thought that was the funniest thing ever. And we could barely finish the last paragraph of that chapter, which is super important. I'm like, honey, pay attention. She's like, nothing. I'm like, oh no, I've lost you. It It was so funny.
So funny.
It took us a minute to recover from that. She's
Yep.
like, I love Peeve so much. I was like, oh no.
Right. I probably would have just like left it at that point and then just been like, we'll pick the rest of it up
We'll finish this last paragraph later.
Yep. Because the rest of it's important.
Yeah.
Because it is.
Because it is.
Like
It's
the
a three-headed
three-headed dog. Like how, like why? However, the three-headed dog isn't as important as what Hermione sees.
Noticed. Uh-huh.
Which, okay, I get it. Like, guys aren't always the most observant. But like,
although my husband makes fun of me, he's definitely more observant than I am.
That's funny.
Depends on the thing, but
True. But like a trapdoor hiding something, I know it's in there. Well, I don't know it's in there. I don't know it's in there.
you can surmise there's a certain grubby little package.
Yep. I think it's the package. I think it's the package. I want to know what's in the package. I think it's a wand.
Ooh.
Yeah. I think it's a wand.
No further comment, but ooh.
I think it's a wand, but I guess we'll find
like
out.
that idea.
I don't know. So
then we kind of end this chapter with what is, especially once you've seen the movie, is a very infamous Hermione line that says, "You're gonna get us all killed or worse, expelled." And then she trots off to bed.
yeah.
And again, very, very famous Hermione line. And I kept thinking, like, is being expelled worse for you or worse for Harry?
True.
Because worst case scenario, Hermione, you get expelled. Yeah, okay, you're a witch who doesn't get to do magic and you go back to a boring muggle school, but you have loving parents in the life?
Right.
Harry gets shoved back under a staircase and wilts to nothing. Or
Right.
goes and lives with Hagrid in his hut.
I think he'd go with Hagrid for sure.
It would try. For sure.
For sure.
But I was like, why is this your concern?
Well, not just that, but I think again, like Hermione is thinking about herself in a lot of ways.
100%.
Like she's very, I don't want to say selfish, but she's very selfish in a lot of ways in that way.
Definitely self-absorbed.
Yes. But I think it, like Hermione, even if she went back to the Muggle world, at all costs, she would figure out how to be a witch.
She would get back.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that she'd ever figure out a way to get back to Hogwarts, but she would do everything in her power to become a witch.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Very, very motivated.
Yep.
Yeah.
And figure out how to learn her powers and everything.
Yeah. I love that being expelled is like the worst thing she can imagine.
Well, at 11, for sure.
Of course.
For a very, like, brown noser, a person that really wants to be educated in
People
that.
pleaser.
Yes.
Well, a professor pleaser, I should say.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's not really a people pleaser. She's
No.
a adult pleaser.
Yes. And she wants to learn everything. So education is important to her. And she wants to have all of that education. So I think she'll do everything in her power to get it. But I think right. But I think also, like, why keep butting in with Harry?
I know.
At that point,
Like, at
is
this
it
point,
because he
you
is
know
who
he's
he
trouble.
is? Like, but is it because of who he is? Is that why she's doing it?
Well,
Or is there some sort of draw for her? Like some weird emotional draw for her to like be a part of this group?
I'm trying to think if before now has she really butt in.
Yeah, because she helped Neville on the train find his toad.
That's not butting into Harry, though.
Well,
I was
then
trying
he
to be
was
helpful.
no. Then she keeps coming into the thing where like making sure that they get changed
Oh, yeah.
and like
Yeah.
things like that. There's a couple times that
fair.
she butts in on the train.
I was like, this is the first time that she's like trying to stop them from doing something, that she's trying to stop them from breaking
True.
rules. which will drive her nuts and for the rest of her life.
Sure. Very, very much so.
But like this is the first time, and I see this as getting ready on the train and butting in and who are you is curiosity and getting to know people and just being an annoying extrovert.
Right.
Not saying extroverts are annoying.
This one's going a little too far.
Yeah. It's
in a way.
Extreme extrovert. Whereas this time it's, I need to please the teachers. And to do that, I'm going to tell other kids what they should do.
Right.
Which again, we all know those.
Yep.
We all went to school with those. That it's, you're breaking the rules, so I'm going to butt in and help you not get in trouble. Or
right.
Sometimes kids just need to get into trouble.
Right.
To learn.
Yep.
That's how we learn not to slam our fingers in doors. And
True.
yeah. We didn't do a lot of baby proofing, clearly. I locked up the chemicals and we put gates on the stairs. I'm like, things where you can get severely hurt, fine. Yeah. But no, I didn't put locks on my doors. No. You learn to not slam your finger in the door.
Yep. For sure.
You do it once and hey, maybe now you listen to me about how to close a door.
Right.
So maybe this is what Harry and Ron need, is to get in trouble once, be told, hey, stay in your dang room after hours. Like,
right.
Yeah, they never learn.
I guess we'll find out in the next chapter.
What
Stay tuned for chapter
this one's very 10 and 11. 10 and 11 next week.
It was close.
And this is timely, as it is October as we are recording this.
Yeah.
The next chapter is called Halloween.
Ooh.
And then, so that's chapter 10 is Halloween, and then chapter 11 is Quidditch.
Woohoo!
Yay. And we are over halfway at the book.
Yep.
This one flies by. The first two fly by.
Yeah.
Then slows down just a little bit. I thought those were boring chapters when I reread them. And then, like, we started talking about it. I was like, ooh.
I know. I had the least amount of notes, but then I feel like this was the longest set of episodes. So,
yeah. No, it was like, okay. Like, oh, there's a lot to these. And writing them, this is definitely my least amount of notes, but I've also been single parenting all week because my husband's been on travel. So I've been doing this way too late after the kids go to bed, and I've been trying to clean the kitchen and get lunches ready and pack my own backpack and so so my notes were a little slim because I was like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm doing this and going to bed.
Yeah.
But we made it work.
Yeah. And I've been sick all week, so
yeah.
But
bummer.
Stay tuned for our next set of chapters, and we will see you guys all next time.
Woohoo!
Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you had fun, please follow, download, and review this podcast on your preferred listening platform.
If you're ready for the next chapter, join the spoiler-free conversation on our Facebook group. Search You Haven't Read What? The podcast.
Or on Instagram and YouTube for exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content. Have a great week.
And we'll catch you on the next page.